Okay, it's October 30th, 25 after hours. Um, my name's Trent. If you're new here, click like, subscribe. Trying to do is up market updates as often as possible, give trade ideas, all that good stuff. So I'm starting things off here by looking at junk bonds and corporate grade bonds. So I've been I had alerts set on these gaps here over on junk bonds, and as soon as those went off, I had noticed that like it worked perfectly for catching reversals in the market. Um, it's really been helpful to set alerts on the HYG chart. As soon as that stuff turns bearish, the market turns bearish just right after a lot of the time. So it's definitely a chart worth paying attention to. You can see that it moved down the last couple days along with the market. You can also see LQD also had a decent move down. Um, so we had some bearish movement today and yesterday in these things, and that's a red flag on the market. Um, let's switch over to some main charts here. Give it a minute to load because it's loading 12 charts and I need one. All right, let's look at the SPY daily. Um, Let me zoom way in so this can be seen a little better. Obviously, we had a pretty bearish day. We did a gap fill, or almost did a gap fill. We almost filled the gap. Kind of a good location for a higher low on the chart. And if you were paying attention after hours, um, Apple is up on earnings. Western Digital's up on earnings. And Amazon is flying extreme new highs on earnings. And then the other thing that happened was Netflix announced a stock split, but we'll get through all those things. So this is probably going to end up turning up to be a higher low right here in continuation longer due to that. Let's take a look at the hourly chart. But however, so what I'm looking for tomorrow, if this is going to end up just being a partial gap filled in reversal for higher low on the hourly daily chart, then what we're really going to be looking for is a higher low over 685, probably first thing tomorrow morning, and then try and catch that long with the theory or idea of eventually creating new all-time highs with it. If that all falls apart, lower high under yesterday, lower day to finish filling this gap, reevaluate once the gap fills for a gap fill reversal, or if it's super bearish, market internal, super bearish, all that stuff, then continuation down to fill the next gap, then look for gap fill reversal. But as the way things stand right now after hours, it looks like it's going to end up being a higher low on a daily chart. So QQQ. Basically the same thing. The difference is that the Qs, I guess it did fill a gap today on the Qs, much smaller gap, and it filled it all the way through. So what you're going to be looking for on the Qs, if this ends up being the higher low, since it's probably too late to catch it down here, you're going to be looking for a higher low over 631.20 to take that long. Um, Probably not. It might not end up being the cleanest long because there is all this junk over here that you have to work your way through. So, but that is the idea. Otherwise, if for some reason we come below today's range, lower highs, there's a huge gap down here that could be filled. Um, so let's look at SOFI. Can't recall if I posted this idea or not, but I was looking for 30.25 to hold on SOFI. That did not end up happening today. So what I'd be looking for at this point is a hold at 28.85. If we can get a hammer candle there, 2 minute, 5 minute, 15-minute chart, whatever, something that makes it look like this is going to hold, take it long, then that's the next thing I would be looking for on SoFi. If for some reason it does get below this 28.85 with a and gets price acceptance down there, then forget it. I'm not probably not looking to trade this chart, but if that did happen, it would essentially be a look above and fail. And you would, in theory, probably target the other end of the range all the way down here to 26.40, but you would want to respect the 20 SMA, the 50 SMA. So those would probably be the first targets if you're going to do that. I'm not interested in that. I'm only interested if we can get a hold at 28.85 to go long. Otherwise, I have no further interest in that chart. Let's take a look at Amazon. They had earnings today. So this could have ended up being the perfect location for a higher low on the Amazon chart. And by all means, it does look like that's exactly what it's going to end up being. But there's no way anybody's participating in that because we are way the heck up here at 255.58. So as far as Amazon goes, one option would be a gap and go. So that's a higher low over the overnight high. And the other option is going to be a, let's say if it could come down, trying to get my drawing tool to work. Come on, work. Drawing is on. I gotta press the D button. Can't remember. I just literally built this tool. Let me try again. All right, well, it was working before this video, so maybe the video is doing something. Oh, it's because it's connected to a different screen. Oh well, I'll mess with that later. Um, so either a higher low over the overnight high, or if we can pull back to this now previous all-time high level of 242.50, that would be the ideal location for a higher low. How long is it going to take to get there? Who knows? Probably not something that's going to happen tomorrow. But if and when we get there, I would be looking to see if that level can hold for a higher low to go back long, back up towards all-time highs again. Similar to what happened with AMD recently. This kind of reminds me of that, though AMD went much further than this did. Next chart, I want to take a look at another earnings candidate today. This chart just blows my mind. I don't know why I wasn't paying attention to it before this. It's just look at this. Just look at the weekly chart on this. That's like straight up unbelievable. Daily chart, pretty straight up. So Western Digital also did a gap up to brand new all-time highs on earnings. If it can get a gap and go tomorrow morning, high or low over the overnight high, I'd be interested in that. Um, so gap rules on this. And if you don't know what the gap rules are, you can go to tau-trading.com, click on strategies, click on gap rules. That'll give them to you there. But basically, you're for gap rules for a same day gap to fill, what you're looking for is you're looking for a test and failure of the overnight high. So maybe price gets above the overnight high, then comes back below it. And then price to get back below the opening print, that's just simply the opening price on the day. And then for risk to reward to make sense. So if risk and reward makes sense from the high a day to the entry point down to yesterday high a day, then you take a short to close the gap. Now there's easier ways of doing that. You could look for a lower high below the opening print and, reduce your risk and put the stop loss above that. Different ways of doing that. But in general, that is the rules. And if you're interested in learning more about that, then go to the website tau-trading.com. Click strategies, click gap rules. All right, next chart to look at is Meta. Meta. Why am I looking at this chart? Let me go to the hourly. Okay, so made a gap down on earnings yesterday, and it is just hanging off this 200 SMA. This isn't resolved yet. We don't know how this is going to work out. So my ideas with this are, if we can get a higher low above 681.15, above the 200 SMA, then maybe this is a good entry point for a massive pullback, higher low. And that's my thought. If we can resolve it, then I would be looking to start getting long on this chart. Otherwise, if we're gonna get a lower high below this 661.45, below this yesterday low a day down here, then bear territory for Meta. It would be the only Mag 7. It's really the only Mag 7 really struggling right now. But if we can resolve this 200 SMA and this is really going to be the bottom, that's what I'm looking for signs of, because that would create a massive opportunity, and it is definitely a possibility. Let's look at Apple. Um, Apple had earnings today, yes, and it is gapped to new all-time highs right now. After hours, it's already lost about half of that gap. So question becomes, can we get a gap fill reversal basically? Down to gap fill to 274.15 and then a reversal back long to the opening print. That's what I'd be looking for on Apple tomorrow. We already looked at QQQ. Let's take a peek at Google. Google. Let me turn off this after hours. It's making it hard for me to know what I'm looking for. Okay. Google gapped up on earnings from last night and basically did a V-shaped reverse recovery on the day. So question becomes, can it hold at 280? Can we get like a hammer or something right here? Something to show that this price is holding, take it long back to the all-time high and possibly beyond. The other option, if we get a lower high below the low a day here, look to fill this gap, and then question becomes, can we get a gap fill reversal at 275.35? And then, just gap to gap, like, can we get a gap fill reversal here? If not, and it continues down, can we get one here? So it's basically what you're looking for. Lower highs into gap levels for a gap fill, and then I'm out at this level, expecting that we're probably going to get a gap fill reversal, looking for signs of that, some type of candlestick setup, some type of hammer that's holding this level, and then a break of that hammer high with some type of momentum, with relative volume increased. Those are the type of things I'm looking for. I'm also looking for is SPY and QQQ moving up at that moment? If so, then yeah, I'm looking for these factors. I'm looking for what the breadth is on the NASDAQ. Is it green? Is it, 2 to 1? Things like that. So it's not just price action, it's location, it's context. But so what we're looking for, one more time, can this hold some type of hammer candle? If yes, what is SPY doing? What is QQQ doing? What kind of score do I got on the market pulse here? What is the breadth showing? And if all these things are lining up, then I'm definitely long. A plus trade setup, back to all-time high. Otherwise, lower high, and then I'm looking at all those things. So that is how it's done, and that really does have a massively high win rate. Like lately, it's been in the 60%, but I mean, typically 70% range. And if you use market context, market internals, and you only trade when all those things are in favor, it's probably closer to 80%. But I often take trades when not every single thing is lining up. All right. After Google, let's take a look at Palantir. Palantir's been trading new all-time highs recently. It does have earnings next week. So as far as my plan allows, tomorrow would be the last day I am allowed to trade Palantir until after earnings due to IV cost on options. So what I'm looking for, basically, can it pull back to 192.85 and we get a hold of that level? So pull back long 192.85. Back to all-time high and maybe further. Oracle. This morning, just before market open on Facebook and on X, I posted two trade ideas, actually, Oracle and Hood, and posted the charts. Well, what I had posted on Oracle was if we could get a lower high below 211.25 to take a gap fill trade on Oracle. So I actually, oh God, I got to get more chart out here. One moment. Okay, so it opened here today, came down, and I really wanted to wait for it to come back up to this level. It never did reach there, but what I ended up seeing was these candles with these wicks on top, and I ended up taking a short off the low of these two wicks right here. And I got a great trade out of that. It did ended up I ended up selling, like, I want to say I sold right around here. But as you can see, it went all the way down through these support levels. Let's go back to the daily chart. No, to the hourly chart. One moment. Let me get some more time so I can show what I'm trying to show here. All right. As you can see, this is kind of where it stopped today. This is a good location for a higher low on Oracle. So it's not that it can't continue filling more of this gap. It absolutely could, but it has definitely hit a location where a higher low on this thing is possible, and it's going to turn around in reverse. So the question becomes then, if we get a lower high below 256.30 tomorrow, then yes, I would look for gap fill continuation down to 250. But if no, if it pops below, then comes back up, if we something like that, or if we get a higher low above 260, then I would think that a reversal becomes extremely possible. We did leave a little bit of gap from today left, like not much, but we have some thin structure right here that could easily be retraced back up to the upside. Um, so if that happened and a good long got set up, then I would end up looking to target maybe 273.55 would be a decent target. I might also just throw this level in as a potential. So I'd be looking to target these. If one, if it comes down, then pops right back up, gets a higher low, then that's a definite long for me. Chasing back up to this 271, 273.50 area. All right. Another interesting chart right now is gold. I find gold interesting because obviously because it had this massive move up, then capitulated, then it's gapped down a couple times, and now we have this double bottom right here um, on the chart, and it's about to break back above this double bottom. So if we can break back above, get a higher low off 369.70, then I would think this gap fill up here becomes a definite possibility to the long side. So that would be one way for it to happen. The other way would be any higher lows above this opening print right here, above 371.25. So higher lows above 371.25, I'd look to fill at least this gap right here to the long side on gold. Any other charts? Let's take a look and see what's up with TSM. So TSM created new all-time highs right there, but immediately failed to go higher and got knocked back into this bounce range. That is technically, well, it did. It did a look above and fell, knocked back to the other end of the bounce range. Now we're back up towards the top of the bounce range. So if we can catch a higher low above 306.65, I would look to target back to this opening print right here, which is 311 even. Um, I'm probably about to start trading Netflix again too because they just announced a stock split 10 to 1, so shares are going to end up being like 130 a share instead of 1,000 something. I honestly can't wait for that to happen because Netflix has been just pretty much impossible to day trade, but there's been so many good moves. So when that happens, I'll probably look to buy shares and start trading it. So that's something coming in the works soon. Um, I'll take a look at one more chart. Qualcomm. Qualcomm had this parabolic move it up on whatever that catalyst was, something with OpenAI, I think. It's been pulling back since. It's coming into a major level at 176. So I'm just looking to see if 176 is going to hold for it and then looking for ways to get long from there. That's all I got for now. Have a good one. Like, follow, subscribe, do all the good stuff. Um, Journal your trades, journal them very well. Use tags. Use if rules were broken, rules were followed. Know what your emotions were. Do all that stuff. And if you're not using a trade journal that can help you figure out what's working, what's not working, strategyforgejournal.com, strategyforgejournal.com. Use code strategy for $25 off, which covers the cost of the first month. All right. Have a good one.